There are 10 big things that I found that are changing the social media strategies in real time and will have a big impact on how we create and consume content in 2024. Number 1, signal to noise ratio. Let me explain what this is and why it's even more crucial this year than ever before. Signal is the perceived value of the person who's watching, listening or reading your content. And the noise is the things he or she is not interested in reading, watching or listening to. So a high signal to noise ratio for educational content could be that you hear 10 new things that you didn't know from this video and only one thing you already knew, making it a 10:1 signal to noise ratio. I predict a lot of people will start creating content this year because they have good reasons to do so. So the supply goes up while the demand will probably stay the same. People will have more choice than ever before, so they become more picky, which is why I think signal to noise ratio will matter more than any year before this. And remember, there's no such thing as too long, only too boring, which is a quote from Alex Hormozi. People don't have shorter attention spans, they just have higher standards. So raise yours to exceed theirs. Which brings me to authenticity, because even your neighbor might start creating TikToks and will say the same as everyone else. Authenticity will be a big, if not the biggest differentiating factor. So what is authentic? I think it's sharing what you did, sharing what you think, and being honest and transparent, which brings me to relationships. Personal connection is worth more than lots of short form views where they don't know much about you. We will start to see much more of the raw stuff. Videos like The Raw Truth on Topic X, with Sam Sulek as a great example. And we will also see more people starting to vlog. And possibly we will even see VR videos on platforms like YouTube. And the thing that I want to improve at is vulnerability, because I believe that publicly sharing my experiences, lessons, mistakes and thoughts, which is a difficult one for me, will help me remove parts of my self-image. Because even though I did $3.5 million in revenue and hired over 40 people, I made a lot of mistakes. And I think my self-image of this masculine, successful entrepreneur doesn't serve me. So this is what I will do. I will be sharing more very uncomfortable and vulnerable stuff, because very selfishly it will help myself. So if you want to know more about my personal stuff, I write a weekly email to around 100 people right now that you can find below. Which brings me to the fall of the newsletter. Quite ironic. From my point of view, there are simply way too many newsletters to read. Personally, I don't even read one of the newsletters that I'm subscribed to. And recently I picked up on the following that Tim Ferriss shared about content and newsletters becoming a red ocean. And this brings me to the rise of podcasts. A lot of people will be starting a podcast. And definitely in the English space, I think it will become a red ocean. And it leads to hyper optimization. We will have a few but very big creators with large teams who are optimizing everything and create this kind of intellectual property in order to win. For example, let's take a look at Stephen Bartlett from The Diary Behind a CEO. With that said, I think we will see much more extremes. Hyper optimized on the one side and extremely raw content on the other side. But trust will matter more than ever before. And I think a big reason for that will be because of AI. So if you are thinking about revamping your social media strategy, think how you can authentically build trust, which leads me to goodwill, which I simply explain as your give to ask ratio. If you give 10 and ask 5, you only get 2. So the less you give or the more you ask, the less you get. So what I try to do is to share really good stuff for a very long time without asking money in return, which I also plan to do in a free community for creators who are building their personal brand. Which brings me to the rise of communities. Now that Alex Hormozi invested into school.com, we will start to see even more of a rapid increase in communities. Personally, I'm not sure if I will create one on School. If you want to know why, you can watch this video next. But I do think it is a great place to give even more. For example, these platforms allow me to quickly jump on a call with you or share Loom videos on how I use certain tools, which leads me to my final point, the rise of software tools. The creator economy is expected to double in growth in the next 4 to 5 years, going from 250 billion to 480 billion in 2028. according to HubSpot. And I think we will start to see big VC firms and individuals creating lots of tools to help creators. Just like ViewStats from Mr. Beast that he recently launched. Which is not so helpful if you ask me, but you can expect more software tools like these this year more than ever before. You can take a look at Product Hunt, for example, if you're curious. And most of them, in my opinion, are not worth paying for, but some of them are. Personally, I mostly use free tools. And if you want to know which ones I use and how I use them to run my business, and more of the advanced stuff like how you can set up your TikTok account to target the US, then you can sign up for my free community waitlist below. And remember, give more than you ask and you get more than you can imagine.